Hey guys, it's Jack CXC with Soul Patch Scents, and today I'm going to be talking about the fragrance that I wore last week, starting with Sunday. So on Sunday, I wore Baccarat Rouge Eau de Parfum from Mason Francis Kurkdjian. Now, this stuff is a classic for a reason. It's sweet, it's sugary, it's really just such an enjoyable scent. It is pretty strong, so I did kind of go nose blind to it a couple hours in. But regardless, this stuff is amazing. The quality of everything that I smelled from this house is just unparalleled. There's really not a lot that can go up against this house in terms of quality. But this is obviously a decant. I bought it from a respected decant seller online, but this stuff is amazing. Now, if you don't have the money for Baccarat Rouge 540, the original, there are a lot of cheaper alternatives. One of the ones that stands out to me is La Tafa Ane Aviette Rouge, which you can get for around like $16-15 online, which honestly for that price, the quality is not going to be the same as the MFK, but still it's for the price that you could pay, you get a lot of value. It's really strong, it's sweet. I used to own it, but I ended up selling it. But still, it's a great fragrance and a great alternative to Baccarat Rouge 540. So for the evening on Sunday, I wore Kinetic from Tumi. Obviously this bottle's a little bit beat up, but regardless, the smell is still there. So this one gets a lot of comparisons to stuff like Dior Sauvage or Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, and I agree with those similarities. It does smell pretty similar, but regardless, it is still a really nice, clean, everyday type of scent. You know, it's clean, it's peppery, it's got that sort of ambroxan sweetness to it underneath that keeps it from being too aggressive. And you know, for a fragrance house that's really kind of not given a lot of love, you know, Tumi puts out amazing stuff. Like the quality of the cap, minus the quality on this particular bottle. I mean, just everything about it sort of screams class, and this fragrance is no exception to that. On Sunday evening, I wore Kinetic from Tumi. On Monday for the day, I wore Black Touch from Frank Olivier. Now this fragrance gets compared to one of my favorite fragrances of all time, Terre de Hermes from, of course, the house Hermes. And this stuff, you know, it really does kind of give me that similar vibe. You know, it's very clean, very fresh, aquatic. It's got a little bit of sharpness from the vetiver in it that, you know, does tie it in with those Terre de Hermes fragrances. And, you know, for what you can find this stuff online for, it's an insanely good, versatile pick. I bought this online for around 20 bucks a couple years ago, and you know, still to this day, it's amazing. You know, like I said, it's fresh, aquatic, really versatile. The performance on this is not bad either. It lasted for all of 6 hours, and you know, for something that cost you 20 bucks, this is a great fragrance. Black Touch from Frank Olivier. Now, this next fragrance, if I were to pick, you know, 5 to 10 fragrances in my entire collection that I could keep, this is definitely one of them. This is L'Homme Ideal Eau de Toilette from Guerlain. Well, I know that the Eau de Parfum from this line gets a lot more love, but to me, this one smells so much nicer. It's got this sort of honeyed almond smoothness to it. Plus the quality of this is just amazing. Like before I smelled this, I had mostly been smelling designers that do tend to have a little bit of sort of cheap vibe to them, you know, like the Jimmy Choo fragrances, some of the Coach fragrances. You know, they are fairly good quality, but in comparison to stuff from Guerlain, like you can tell that this is a higher end brand, and just from the scent profile, from the smoothness to the scent, this stuff is amazing. Like, this was one of the first fragrances that I smelled that just completely knocked my socks off, and this is still one of my fragrances to this very day. L'Homme Ideal Eau de Toilette from Guerlain. So for Tuesday during the morning, or for the day, I wore Ouverture from Xerjoff. Now, this is a fragrance that does not get a lot of love or really any kind of mention. I saw it for sale in one of my fragrance sales groups and for a really good price, and I thought, why not? And honestly, this stuff is just knockout, punch you in the face. This is amazing. It's got this sort of warm, woody, spicy scent profile to it. You can smell the oud, you can smell the spices. It's like this. It's a little bit similar to Versace Oud Noir. So if you smelled that one, kind of have a good idea to how this stuff smells. But of course, it being a Xerjoff, it's very, very high quality, very well blended, very just, oh my gosh, this stuff is amazing. If you have the budget to try it, please do, because this stuff is just so phenomenal. So, been on the opposite end of the budget. For the evening on Tuesday, I wore Uomo Signature from Salvatore Ferragamo. Now, this stuff is the original fragrance, original Uomo from Salvatore Ferragamo. It's known for it having a sort of tiramisu note, sort of rich, sweet coffee, and this one has that, but it's quite a bit darker. And it's, instead of the sort of rich sweetness, it does lean a little bit into the smoky side or roasted side of the coffee, and it's still really phenomenal pickup. For the price that you can get it, I paid like, I think maybe $35 for this, and for $35 this is insane. You know, it's really sweet, it's enjoyable, it's a compliment puller. Like, this stuff is knockout. For especially when you're balling on a budget, you know, this stuff is great. Uomo Signature from Salvatore Ferragamo. On Wednesday during the day, had to wear it again. Ouverture from Xerjoff. During the evening for Wednesday, I wore Dior Homme 2020. So this stuff for me, it's a really, really great freshie. It's got this zingy citrus that sits underneath the Ambroxan and woods, and it's got a little bit of pepper, that bright citrus, and then those woods underneath. And to me, this stuff is great. Like, if I were to keep, you know, only one or two freshies in my collection, I think this would probably be one of them. You know, it's got that sharp citrus, but also that woods that just creates this amazingly classy scent profile. That, well, you could say that if you're really into fragrances, especially if you're a fan of the original Dior Homme, this stuff probably won't be for you. But for just the everyday guy who's just trying to get into fragrances, you know, they don't have a lot in their collection, this will do it for you. You know, it's versatile. You can really wear it anywhere you want. You can wear it casually with a t-shirt and shorts, or you can even wear it with a suit and tie and it won't make you feel out of place. But, you know, despite all the hate it gets, you know, this stuff grows on you, and I recommend you give it a shot, especially if you didn't like the chains that came with this new version. Dior Homme 2020. On Thursday, during the day, I wore Luna Rossa Black from Prada. Now, from what I've heard, this stuff has been sort of reformulated. It's been made a little bit sweeter, a little bit more modern, but I think this is a original formulation bottle. So it's got the classic black formulation, and you know, I've been hearing a lot of buzz about this stuff. You know, it gets hyped as just being a really nice, versatile fragrance that's a bit particular, a little bit sweet. I totally get that. You know, it's not really anything that I own in my collection really smells like this. You know, it's got this sweetness, of course, this woodiness. It does have a rubberiness that tends to get mentioned a lot. You know, I really picked that up. But for a blind buy, like, this fragrance is amazing. You know, it's really clean. It's easy. It is pretty easy to wear, despite what some people say to me. But yeah, you know, I didn't really understand the rubberiness that this stuff gets described as, but you know, smelling it, you know, you instantly understand what they were talking about. But yeah, Luna Rossa Black from Prada. So during the day, Friday was a bit of a repeat day. You know, I love the stuff that I wear. I love smelling new stuff every day, but sometimes you just gotta go back to the classics. So for Friday during the day, I wore Eau Mondiale Eau de Toilette again, and since I talked about it ad nauseum in the previous day, I'm just gonna leave it at that. And for during the day, like I said, went back to the good old fragrances, and during the evening, wore Xerjoff Ouverture once again. On Saturday, I had mentioned it a couple times during my sort of rant about Xerjoff Ouverture, and on Saturday I wore Versace Oud Noir. Now this is really phenomenal. It's got that spicy woody profile to it, but it's also light enough that it doesn't wear too heavy, so you can spray yourself a good amount of times with this. But because of that lightness that it has, it also gives it a good amount of versatility too. So despite it being 80-90 degrees where I'm at, I was able to wear this outside with no problem. It's not too cloying, if you're a big fan of the spicy woodsy fragrances, but it's still too warm out, then this is an excellent choice for that. It really sort of hits that spicy woodsy kick craving that I know I get, and I'm sure that some of you guys get. For Saturday during the day, Versace Oud Noir. So the last fragrance that I wore on Saturday was Lattafa's Kama Kawa. So when I initially got this in, I was not a really big fan of it. And to be honest, when I still smell it off my skin, it's still not very great. I get an overwhelmingly strong overdose of sweetness, and while in a lot of cases that would be good, the sweetness from this one smells pretty synthetic to me. It smells cheap, it smells just not very pleasant, close up to me, but in the air, this stuff is really good. You get that sweetness, but it's a lot more reined in. It's creamy, it's boozy, it's a little bit spicy. In the air, this stuff is knock your lights out type of deal. So, it's a type of situation where, sometimes you don't like a fragrance when you get it in, but you just gotta give it a second try. Lattafa Kama Kawa. So guys, that was my weekly rotation for the week of 7/20, and if you like content like this, I really hope you'll consider subscribing. Leave a like, and let me know in the comments below what your weekly rotation was. Until then, it's been Jax from Soul Patch Scents, and I hope you have a good day.